Guys, welcome back to my channel. This week's video is different. I'm going to be painting a sketchbook spread in front of you while I talk about an art style. So it's kind of a podcast, you could say. Kind of. Because I've mentioned an art style in, I think 3 videos ago. I said I'm adopting a new art style with breakfast food. So I think it was about time I explained to you guys what an art style is. Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of beginners out there who either don't know what an art style is, are trying to find an art style, or struggling to find an art style. And this video is for them. So, as a beginner, finding an art style can be stressful. Let's agree on that. Because you see every artist that you're taking inspiration from, they have a certain signature style. You want to adopt all of them. You want to try and make your work look perfect. We're going to have to back up here a little bit. So I feel that an art style is of 2 types. 2 different artists. There are artists who think an art style is important and it's necessary, and there's artists who think an art style is not important or not necessary. I personally am in the middle, where I think it is sometimes important and sometimes not important. I feel that's the best way for beginners to go as well, because if you're trying to pressurize yourself into getting an art style, it's not going to work. But in today's video, I'm going to discuss both important and not important, and the reasons for this. So I think this is kind of like a podcast. I don't know. Anyway, we'll start with not important. When you're a beginner, you don't know what you're doing. Let's agree on that. You don't know what you're doing. You're just starting out. You have no idea where you're going. So trying to find an art style at that point is pretty much pointless or kind of a ridiculous thought, because you're starting out. Like, you're still looking, you're still experimenting. You do not need to pressurize yourself into getting an art style. And it's not even getting, you don't get an art style. It's just there. You just need to find it, or you need to develop it. It doesn't just come to you in an aha moment, eureka moment. It's not like that. You make paintings, you keep working on them, and then you see what you like best from each of them, and then kind of combine them to create your art style, if that makes sense. Art style is basically based off, I think, about 3 things. Your personal tastes, like what you like or what things you enjoy or stuff like that. Whichever artist you take inspiration from. Like, for example, if you take the inspiration from 5 different artists, then you combine their work and it kind of shows in your own work. And then your experiences as well, because you're living your own different type of life, and every artist lives their own type of life. I mean, nobody lives the same life. I'm pretty sure no one lives the exact same life as you, and that kind of subconsciously affects your work. It does. So after time, when you start understanding what things you like when it comes to art, what different styles you enjoy, which artists you like the work of, when you finally start understanding these things and realizing the different techniques, that is when you can start thinking about developing an art style. Before that, you haven't really explored everything. You haven't really started looking at everything, or you don't know where you're going. Just simply said, expecting you to have an art style at that level is not possible. So don't pressurize yourself. Don't beat yourself up and be like, I don't have an art style, what am I going to do? It's not like that. In my sketchbook spread that I'm painting right now, I'm trying to include as many different art styles as possible, because even I right now am exploring the different styles. You don't stop exploring. That's the thing about art. You always need to have a growth mindset. You always want to try out new things. You don't just stop. You try them out. That's another part of art that is really important. And making yourself have a definite art style kind of stops that. But it's also important to have an art style for some reasons. When you have an art style, it's like signature for you. It's like yours. No one else can have the same art style as you. When I say art style, I mean like this. For example, you can draw a cartoon like realistic or realism. Realistic is kind of realistic, and realism is exact ditto from what is in real life on the page. You can have thin lines, thick lines, medium thick, thin brush strokes, thick brush strokes. You can use pens or paint brushes, or even your finger, honestly. Some people prefer finger painting. You can use bright colors, dull colors, no colors at all. You can make it black and white. You can draw humans, landscapes, or abstract. In humans, if you take, for example, you can draw cartoons, you could draw portraits. In cartoons, you could draw cute characters, dangerous characters, or like anime type characters, or even characters from like cartoons or stuff, like, I don't know. Well, whatever your favorite cartoon is, if it's animated. They can have large eyes, small eyes, round eyes, square eyes, honestly any shaped eyes, certain dressing style, a certain color palette, and each of these you can have like any color of the rainbow. That can be your color palette. You can have a mixture of colors from the rainbow. If you can take like a red and yellow color palette, a purple and blue color palette. Honestly, the things are endless. The options are endless. It is very, very, very unlikely that an artist will choose the exact same things as you. And even if they do, you have your own way of doing it. Every artist's process is different, and a process also counts in your art style, the way you get it done. For example, there are some artists, I guess, let me think, who do part of their picture with their fingers, another part with the brush. I have a habit of doing that. Or there's an artist that will only stick to brushes, or an artist that will only stick to their fingers. There's no two artists that will have the exact same style. I'm guaranteeing it. Like, there's no two artists that do these things the exact same way for the exact same outcome. It is pretty much unlikely. You can have the same inspirations, but even then, your art will turn out different. And this is really sometimes important if you're trying to sell your art, you're trying to make a name for yourself in art. It's your signature way of expressing yourself, in a nutshell. And it also helps you develop, because then you're committed to one art style. It helps you improve, and you keep improving on that one particular style. Now, as I said before, I'm in the middle. I find it's important and not important. Important because obviously it's your signature style. People know you by that style. Like, you guys know I mostly paint landscapes or nature, so that's kind of like my signature style at this moment. But it's not important, because then it kind of stops you from growing. If you try to limit yourself, then you won't really improve. You'll just be stuck there, and you'll just keep working on that thing, and you won't really get a chance to have the growth mindset that art requires. Like, art, it requires you to have a growth mindset. Like, it requires you to be able to explore, discover, think in new ways, see the world in different ways. And if you try to limit yourself to an art style, you probably wouldn't be able to do that. And that's why I think that being in the middle, sometimes taking it as important and sometimes letting yourself explore and experiment is important. Like, don't limit yourself as beginners. Even when you're an advanced artist, don't limit yourself. It doesn't work like that. Even I'm in the learning phase. Everyone is still learning. The learning doesn't stop, ever. You just keep going. You just keep learning. And limiting yourself isn't good, but giving yourself a target is also good. So being in the middle, thinking it's important sometimes and not important other times, is important. How many times did I just say the word important? Well, whatever. I will link some videos down below that further explain or like show you what I mean by the different art styles. Because in this particular picture that I've made here, the sketchbook spread, I've included nature. I've included like a drawing at the back with quotes on it. For some reason I wrote good morning. Doesn't make sense, but I did. Then I made a kind of design in the background, and I used pen and ink. I used markers. I used a lot of different techniques on the same page. And I think I took inspiration from the color orange. Clearly, I got new orange paint, and that was my source of inspiration. So I'm pretty sure no one else would interpret the color orange the same way. Like, when someone else sees the color orange that I use, they might think of the actual fruit orange, or they might think of, I don't know, something else that's orange. Or even if they do make the same thing as I did, they won't compose the thing the same way. Like, they won't put the flowers exactly there. They won't put the things placed exactly there. Every artist has their own way of doing things. Every artist needs to discover themselves. I mean, I hope you guys understood what I'm saying about art styles. I've blabbed on enough about this.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. Bye.